Amani na salamu ziwe juu yako mahali popote ulipo mtazamaji wa Lagosa Media ndani ya Tanzania, nje ya mipaka Tanzania, na kama tunavyofahamu kwamba hii ni Lagosa Media ambapo tunakusogezea taarifa mbalimbali zinazotujia na kutufikia. Jina langu ni Nyamguma Hasara, utakuwa nami kuanzia sasa mpaka tamati. Na kama unavyoona leo tupo katika jengo la Confucius Chuo Kikuu cha Dar es Salaam ambapo kutakuwa kuna mdahalo maalum ulioandaliwa na viongozi wa Chuo Kikuu cha Dar es Salaam, lakini pia na wageni kutoka Nelson Mandela huko Arusha. Kuna mengi ambayo yatakayojadiliwa katika mdahalo huu, mengi ambayo utapata kujifunza. Naamini kuanzia sasa mpaka tamati ukijiunga nasi Lagosa Media, mengi utanufaika nayo na mengi ambayo yatakayozungumzwa yatakuwa na faida kwako ewe mwanajamii Mtanzania, lakini hata wale walengwa wote katika mdahalo huu na hata wale ambao waliokusudiwa mahususi kabisa katika mdahalo huu. Kuanzia sasa mpaka tamati utakuwa nami Nyamguma Hasara. Karibu katika mdahalo maalum ulioandaliwa na Chuo Kikuu cha Dar es Salaam. Ni Lagosa Media na tupo katika Chuo Kikuu cha Dar es Salaam, na tulivyosema tutakuwa kuna mdahalo maalum. Sasa tupate kuzungumza na baadhi ya watu maalum na mahususi waliopata kufika hapa ili tupate kutambua ni kipi hasa ambacho kitakachokwenda kuzungumza katika siku ya leo. Hapa nipo na mgeni ambaye tunakwenda kuzungumza naye. Ndugu, habari?
Salama, habari uzima.
Sawa. Hii ni Lagosa Media kutoka Chuo Kikuu cha Dar es Salaam. Sasa nilikuwa nataka kutambua kwamba kuna kitu gani hasa mahususi kilichowafanya mpaka mkaipo hapa muda huu.
Kwanza niseme tu sisi ni wanafunzi kutoka chuo cha Nelson Mandela Arusha, ambao tumefika kutembelea ndugu zetu ambao ni Chuo Kikuu cha Dar es Salaam, na hasa ni kwa ajili ya kuonyesha ule ujirani mwema, lakini pia kusudi kubwa tutakuwa na mada ambayo inazungumzia habari ya mchango wa taasisi za elimu Afrika katika maendeleo ya viwanda na uchumi. Hiyo ndio mada kubwa ambayo tutakayozungumzia katika siku hii ya leo.
Naam, na kwamba naona kwamba mada mmechagua kwamba mchango wa taasisi za elimu katika maendeleo ya viwanda Afrika. Mnadhani kwamba kwa nini taasisi za elimu zimekuwa zikiwekwa nyuma katika swala zima la kutoa mchango katika sekta mbalimbali kama zikiwemo sekta za viwanda na sekta nyinginezo?
Sasa hiyo inategemea, sio kwamba kuna ambazo zinaweza kazi kwa nyuma, lakini zingine ziko mbele, zina mchango mkubwa sana katika habari ya maendeleo ya viwanda na maendeleo pia ya uchumi. Lakini sasa inategemea kwamba kila taasisi kutokana na vile elimu wanayoitoa inategemea kwamba wao wanachangia kwa kiasi gani. Sasa mengi sana yataelezwa leo katika mdahalo huo, ndio utakayoonyesha picha halisi kwamba mchango ni upi ambao taasisi zetu za Afrika za elimu zinavyochangia katika habari ya viwanda pamoja na uchumi.
Naam, shukrani sana. Naamini mtazamaji utapata kujifunza mengi kabisa kutoka hapa Lagosa Media tukiwa Chuo Kikuu cha Dar es Salaam, jengo la Confucius, ambapo hapa kutakuwa kuna mdahalo maalum ulioandaliwa na viongozi wa Chuo Kikuu cha Dar es Salaam, lakini pia na kutoka Chuo Kikuu cha Nelson Mandela Arusha. Kuanzia sasa mpaka tamati ungana nasi pamoja kwa mengi ya kunufaisha. Asante. Naam, mtazamaji wa Lagosa Media, bado tupo katika harakati za kuendelea kufahamu hasa kipi kilichoandaliwa na vipi vitakavyokwenda kuzungumzwa leo, na tunaenda kufanya mahojiano na mgeni mwingine ambaye amebahatika kufika hapa leo hii apate kutueleza ni kipi hasa ambacho kitakachokwenda kuzungumza. Dada, habari sasa?
Safi.
Naam, karibu sana Chuo Kikuu cha Dar es Salaam, lakini tunapenda kufahamu kwamba nyie mmetokea wapi na kipi hasa ambacho kimewaleta leo hapa Chuo Kikuu cha Dar es Salaam kwa siku ya leo.
Sisi ni wanafunzi kutoka Nelson Mandela.
Naam.
Tumekuja hapa kwa ajili tunafanya inter-campus representation inahusiana na tunasema contribution of African institutions toward industrial and economic development. Okay, kwa tumekuja hapa kutoa mawazo yetu, michango, challenges ambazo zipo katika vyuo vikuu vya Tanzania na Afrika kwa ujumla, kuona kwamba tunaweza tukachangia vipi kama wanafunzi kwenye kukuza uchumi wetu. Yeah. Kipi hasa ambacho kilichoonekana mpaka mada hiyo ikachaguliwa kwamba taasisi za elimu zipo nyuma katika kutoa mchango wake katika sekta ya elimu, ama je ni kipi hasa ambacho kikatoa ule mwamko wa wenyewe kuchagua mada hiyo ya kuzungumza leo hapa? Well, nadhani kikubwa zaidi ni kwamba tunataka to improve. Tunajua vyuo vipo kwa wingi lakini bado kuna magepi yanaonekana. So tukaona ili tupate zile chachu ambazo ziko chini ambazo bado hazijajulikana. Nadhani hata serikali na yenyewe itafurahi zaidi kusikia kutoka kwa wanafunzi sisi ambao ni walengwa, kujua what exactly is going on.
Naam, asante sana. Naamini mtazamaji utapata kusikia mengi kabisa kama nilivyokuambia hapo awali. Bado tupo Chuo Kikuu cha Dar es Salaam na hii ni taasisi ya Confucius ambapo kuna mengi atakayokwenda kuzungumza leo hii. Usiondoke mbele ya TV yako. Hii ni Lagosa Media. Endelea kufuatilia Lagosa Media kuanzia sasa mpaka tamati.
Mr. President, if there is any minister, deputy minister, secretary of the ministry, who are going also to be participants in this debate, they will be sitting in back seats. I think you are in right positions. So wherever you are, you have to sit and settle, ready for the discussion to commence on. The time goes. I have received the information that our moderators are ready. So let me take this chance to welcome our moderators to take their part. And on my right hand side, we will be having the moderator from the University of Dar es Salaam, who is Mr. Christopher Titus Gadson, and serving as the Minister of, it is Minister for, not Minister of, okay? Serving as the Minister for Constitution and Good Governance, isn't it? Okay. And on my left hand side, we'll be having our moderator from the Nelson Mandela Institution.
Thank you, it's such an honor to be here. My name is Mdahalo. I was a former Vice President of Nelson Mandela Institute of Science and Technology. It's such an honor and grateful to be here. I will be
Thank you. Thereafter, I have to welcome Ms. Baina for the introduction of the panelists.
Joshua Oyata, Joseph Wangere, Patience Ampuye, Miss Elvira, and Thierry Ndaitezibiganza, Rehema Raja, Fadi Mwakalebele, and Joram Mpya.
For the one who have little to share, will have at least 5 meals. So before I proceed, let me welcome Mr. Joseph for making the progress.
Very much. Yes, shortly, my name is Isaac Frank Rikohe, student leader from Nelson Mandela, African Institute of Science and Technology. So besides what I have just to do right now, please, I don't know, the modalities, just stand and wave.
In front of you, Simbira Dan, the Minister of Education, University of Dar es Salaam. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome all the visitors from Nelson Mandela. You're warmly welcome, feel at home. Yeah, we have the Office of Dean of Students, Mr. Makamba. So before I speak, I would like to welcome him to have a short introduction or to have the short welcome note. Mr. Makamba.
On behalf of the Dean of Students, to welcome each one of you to this institution. Please, hearty welcome to everyone.
So I would like to welcome my first speaker from Nelson Mandela, Jared, who is going to represent to us how, especially institutions which deals promotes science, engineering, technology, and innovation. How this institution contribute to economic development?
How does this African academic institution contribute to the continental industrial and economic development? So I have just a few pointers. The first thing is through research activities. So how does research and industry relate? So when we are engaging on research, we always engage society. So we get problems from the industry, and then we come as researchers, then we find solution to the problems. So that's how we are able to find solutions to the emerging challenges using innovation, science, and technology.
To make them professional in certain fields. We're talking about University of Dar es Salaam, we're talking about IST and other institutions and university. Who are experts? Experts are people that have wide, extensive knowledge and ability on a certain aspect, right? So you speak of expert in science, we're talking about individuals who have extensive knowledge in science. If we talk about experts in business, we're talking of people who have extensive knowledge in business and such as other fields. Even in cookery, people who are good at cooking, we call them chefs, they're expert in the activity of cooking. Leaders like the presidents are experts in leadership aspect, and they have the skills to govern people and to make them achieve a certain goal. You think all these people are experts and they are good and able us to become powerhouses of thoughts and ideas. And this is important because you won't live here empty, you're going to live here with a certain ideology on how we play part to the economy. So it also encourages us to be patriots of our country and to be individuals who play part at really thinking of how we can make our country grow and make our continent grow. Because we believe all here are influences of Pan-Africanism and the unity of Africa at large to beat other Western influence, right? So yeah, that's the whole idea of how its academic institution through these platforms help us to get knowledge and skills to become better patriots and better people who engage in the economy. I don't have much to say, but that's just a brief contribution on how academic institution and experts play part in improving the economy. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Yes.
We can get an output, a commodity, we can get a product at the end of the day that we can sell out and get revenue. As I conclude, we have also found that academic institutions in Africa, they're becoming a focus for global partnerships with the issues of climate change, with the issues of poverty elimination, financial inclusion. This has become a key focus for global partnership, public policy. Then finally, I think I've talked about incubation centers. I beg to submit. Thank you.
Towards the industrial and economic development of our continent and as our nation as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, I want us to look at this from a very different perspective. In fact, a philosophical one. I want to take us back, like really way back, all the way to 400 BC, where the ideas that shaped the education system that we have today were born. Ladies and gentlemen, during that time, Plato himself, he stated and he quoted that the purpose of education and the power of education is a transformation of values. And I think this is an idea that has been forgotten over time. The power and the purpose of education is to transform values. And what are values to begin with? Values, these are the beliefs and the motivations that, they dictate our actions and the things that we do. We have individual values, you and I. We have societal values. And lastly, I want to talk about continental values. What us as a country, as a continent, as Africa, what are the values? What are our motivations, our beliefs, the things that are going to dictate our actions going forward? And when we come to us, for instance, let's consider, we came here, we said that we were going to start this whole event at 9, but we didn't do that, right?
From what academics is not from their reference. Now, we believe so much in them. Our standard is them. And that has limited our mindset to believe that we can do nothing except doing what they can do. And if you have been to symposium before where we have white guys, you could see the way they look at the African guys as well, they are way behind us. And I believe we need to change this mindset. There should be a paradigm shift from looking up to them as a standard and looking into ourselves and looking at people like Julius Nyerere, people looking like Obafemi Awolowo in my country, Nigeria, and many other top-notch guys who did very well in science, in innovation, and in engineering. So it's very, very important. That will help us to understand the nexus between the industry and, of course, the society. And again, I would also add by saying that our institution provides a platform for research and innovation, just as an addendum to what my friend said. So when you have a patentable innovation, we go first by looking at the problem in the society. My friend and my colleague Jonas, a few weeks back we were at Julius Nyerere Convention Center for a presentation, a MAGI conference, and I was privileged to be a young scientist and an award winner in that presentation. Thank you very much. With my friend and we presented on the current challenges of industries and how we can use our own expert ideas to remediate the challenges we have. So what I'm saying is that in Nelson Mandela, you are going to be drilled to understand the nitty-gritty of what we have in the industry, and then how your concept can be transformed and translated to what can solve societal problem. And like I said again, I'm going to say it, there is no development in the society if you cannot identify the problem of the industry. And there is no way you can identify the problem of the industry if there is no paradigm shift, a shift in value, just like what my partner said. And of course, having the mindset that you as a scientist are raised not to create more problem, but to solve the problem. Thank you very much.
And the innovation, it was, okay, you have that idea, you have that innovative idea that you're going to present, but what kind of problem that you're going to solve to the society? So every student was trying to show out, and it was very wonderful. Another thing, at University of Dar es Salaam, we have different institutions that are coming to University of Dar es Salaam when signing MOUs. I will use the company that is called Elsewhere. I know most of us must be heard of it. They are doing joint venture at Mwalimu Nyerere Hydroelectric Power. Concluding, I can tell you about in University of Dar es Salaam, you heard that our university was established in 1961. From 1961 up to date, there have been a lot of changes in our country in science and technology. So the University of Dar es Salaam, being the home of interactions, they understand that, and they are doing curriculum review for the courses that we have. For example, at College of Engineering and Technology, we have industrial engineering. So you can be wondering, okay, industrial engineering, what are these people studying? It's very, very engaging to the market. Students get chances to visit the industries to see, like, okay, we're studying about the industry, but what is happening in the market? What's happening in the world? So it has been an honor being a student at the University of Dar es Salaam, and I am a living testimony of how expertise are being made at the University of Dar es Salaam. Thank you.
Most universities will have 40% assessment, which most probably will be the practical, the assignment, the group work, the presentation, and it will contribute 40% of your assessment. And then it will have an exam which will assess you 60% of your knowledge. But most probably, the final exam will be the one to determine whether you pass or you fail, because it is taking the most percentage of your assessment. But what happens in the exam? In the exam, I am going to sit, most probably I will cram the answers. And I go, I write, I get my A, and then get out. But I have a lot of knowledge in my brain, but putting it into action is a problem. So you find you have students who have a lot of knowledge in their head, but when you ask them, tell me something about this, and they cannot even present. They don't even express themselves. You tell him, go and present here, and then they are shaking. But you had an assessment where you train these people to present themselves. You train these people on communication skills, and you actually have the ability to assess that. But universities do not assess that. So if the universities did more on assessing the practical bit of the students, I think it would gain more contribution than only assessing the things that someone can cram or can master in their heads. Because most people have a lot of content, but when you tell them to practice, they do nothing or they do otherwise. So that is my contribution. Thank you.
So I'm very humbled for this chance today. Well, my name is Ngeze. I'm a second-year student studying Bachelor of Science in Mining Engineering at the prestigious University of Dar es Salaam School of Mines and Geosciences. I want to welcome you all to Dar es Salaam. Only God knows what Dar es Salaam was called before the Arabs came, but that's not a discussion for today. Well, first and foremost, the contribution of African academic institutions and experts in the continental, industrial, and economic development. I want to start by analyzing something which I call white supremacy. My brother from Nigeria has said a little about how we think about abroad, the Western world. As a young boy growing up in the United States of America, I used to think white supremacy was a white man helping a white man to push down the black man. But now, as a young man growing up in Africa, I see it's a black man and a fellow black man looking up to the white man. One of the problems that our African institutions and experts fail to contribute to the development of our society is we still have a mentality that the Western world are better than us. We still have a idea that Harvard, Princeton, and Yale are better than NMIST and University of Dar es Salaam. That is
students, just like everybody said, the leadership bit. When we are leaders in schools, it helps us to see what is happening out there and how we can make the society better. So away from that, everybody has a responsibility away from the institutions of being a person of integrity and performing their responsibility when they're given that opportunity. That's all for me.
Organs within the institution that are responsible for the economic growth. For instance, my brother spoken about the incubation program. In the University of Dar es Salaam, we have UDIEC. This incubates program and startups from university students. For example, right now we have the Kijani Biotech. This is a program by one of the students at the university that is responsible for manufacturing of carrageenan. Carrageenan is nowhere found in Africa. You can never find any industry that is manufacturing carrageenan. And the carrageenan is used in local beers, and used in cakes, is used in sausages. This is something which is important. Okay, thank you. Oh, so what I can say is we still have a long way to go. Our institutions, our education is pyramid in structure, and we need to work on it. Thank you.
This institution, they train the researchers. I have seen the gap between those researchers and the finding they found with policymakers. So yesterday we had a presentation with one of the professor doctor at Oxford with us, and he presented on the vaccine. But that issue of vaccine, it was rabies vaccine. It's very important, but it is presented to the scientists only. We don't have we don't have a collaboration. We can use S in all policy models, so that at least those people who are more in power of decision making toward our findings, we have malarias, we have a project on nutrition issues, they can implement it and we can see the
confirmation. And we have experts out there, we have so many graduates in the field, but my question is, mostly when they seek for a job, they are told that to have experience so that they can get the job. Now my question is, where are they going to experience? Where are they going to apply this knowledge that they have? Actually, I don't have the right answers right now, but I think maybe the thing of politics. I think politics is really interfering with education, like what my brothers just discussed here. These researchers, they're presenting their findings, but we don't have the policymakers in the meetings or during the presentations. So the policymakers, they really don't know what's going out there. The governments, it's the member of the parliament who have to make the decisions for us. We have taken like 3 to 4 years to find something. Like at AHI, we are doing so many researches, like in malaria, rabies, and so many other things. But the parliament being pushed from one place to another. We don't know what really should we do. So it's them holding the hand. It's like they're the one having the stick, telling us this will be the priority and this will not be the priority. So I think if we have politicians inside here, they can help us to deliver the message to the parliament. Like we also need them in research sciences so that they can know what is really going on in our community or in our society. Thank you very much.
Its economic status, what it has and what it doesn't have. We believe Tanzania is very different from Nigeria, hence very different also from South Africa. These all should be treated in a very distinctive and a very differentiated form. But with my 30 seconds, I'm going to use them very precisely to say that the contribution of Africa has a lot of matters to deal with.
to start engaging itself in these researches that students are involving. I like Madam did talk about something that was very diverse about the exams. We believe Africa has a lot to work out, beginning with its mind before it gets to its content of its research and everything in general. Thank you.
So 1 minute is a little bit very little for me, but I'll try my best. So I think I'm going to introduce this other aspect into this entire discussion about how, as Africa, I find that we try to fight for our African values, but then again, with the concept of modern values in the mix, we kind of forget which kind of values that we really ought to fight for. I find that today you find so many African institutions, let's talk about educational institutions from kindergarten, high school, all the way to university, fighting for some really perfunctory values, like needless ones. They employ entire academic personnel, right? Discipline masters, hundreds of institutions. This person gets an entire salary for cracking down on hairstyles, cracking down on clothing, cracking down on jewelry or things like that. And we forget about some of the other problems, like what the good madam said about how there are problems about how our education system focuses on exams, right? Students focus too much on exams, the theoretics, right? That I think extracurriculars try to correct. Therefore, we need to have some sort of emphasis on the extracurriculars. But then with focusing too much on values such as that, employing people who are paid glorious salaries for cracking down on things like that, and not hiring people like school counselors who try to focus on the students' mental health, students and how they deal with extracurriculars, how they're going to deal with higher learning institutions, and in fact deal with international communities that may even tackle the inferiority complex of Africans per se, according to what other people said in this discussion today. I think we need to start a debate on those values as well.
You see, people like Bongo Tech, you see, they are doing a lot in water ATM machines, you see. So we have a lot of people outside there from this institution, they are doing a lot. For example, in the research industry, if you go to the institute like Ifakara Health Institute, you will find 90% of the employees are youth below 30. They are doing a wonderful job in malaria vaccine and entomology, you see. So they are doing something very big. And we have some of them here, you see. But although I think there is one thing to put in mind. Okay, so I will round up, give me 30 seconds. So one thing to put in mind in the African academic institution, one of the gaps is from primary school to secondary school, is where we are losing many of innovators because of language. We have a lot of innovators, they are doing very wonderful job. But when they are measured, I mean, you examine them by using your English language, then you will never find anything within them. But if you use Swahili, you will see their wonderful job within them. Thank you.
Most of research that we are doing right now, it's like we are collecting data from Zungus. We are not doing what we really need what we really need for our own sake. You can be honest. Many of scholarship, they decide for you what you're supposed to study, not what you really need from inside. What you really need from inside, like maybe you want to come up with a certain solution for your society. But many of scholarship, they decide for us everything that we are supposed to do. So as institution within our African countries, we have to think on how we can be able to mobilize our own resources so that we can have our own money and be able to make our own decisions. Thank you.
Like this, we have to consider what we call critical discussion. And always critical discussion has two parts, affirmative team and negative team. Not all that all the points given out are supporting the motion. This is not, we will not reach the goal that we have in mind, okay? So personally, I disagree on the notion that these educational institutions and experts contribute in economic development and industrial development in our continent. Basing on the fact that, especially in Tanzania, we may find that in Tanzania, curriculum that we use is always claimed to be the curriculum that degrades the innovation and the creativity of Tanzanians. So how can we say that these educational institutions have contributed to economic development while our, our educational ministries agree that there is nothing contributed by our educational institutions? That's why most of the contributors here have failed to come with critical evidence on how these educational institutions and experts contribute in economic development of Tanzania, of Africa. So what I can say is that